Hello, friends. All of us will like to invest in companies which can generate a lot of return for us. And one of the most important criteria in doing that is we should be able to identify companies which can grow at a higher rate and which can grow for a long time. So, high growth and long term growth, these are two very important criteria so that we can find a big pond and then a fish which can, grow for a longer time in that pond. So if the industry tailwinds are easier, if there are industry tailwinds with high growth, it becomes easier for companies to grow. And when we think about how to identify investment ideas, one of the way to identify investment ideas is by identifying industries which can grow at a very high rate. So the question is, which are those industries which can grow at a very high rate? Because typically, if we see the industries are same, it's the same IT, it's the same pharma, so we need to look little deeper inside that and identify pockets of high growth. So in this video, what I will do is I will try to identify top 10 business segments which high growth potential along with decent market size opportunities so that we can find interesting investment ideas. And if you like the video, do subscribe and to the channel and do let us know what are the industries which you want us to cover in terms of companies to find those ideas. So let me share my screen and let's see which are some of these industries. So we are covering 10 high growth industries and before that a disclaimer, whatever sectors or companies, whatever companies we are discussing, nothing is a stock recommendation. This is purely for educational purposes. So the first industry which comes in this list is FMCG, and the company belonging to this industry we will discuss later. But FMCG has multiple subsegments, and one of the subsegment in FMCG is extruded snacks. Basically, these are the packaged snacks like Lay's or Kurkure or whatever we eat. Those packaged snacks, and this specific industry extruded snacks, this is growing at a 15% rate. The whole industry growth rate is lower, but when we talk of the organized industry is growing in 15%. So if we can find a company which is growing at higher than industry growth rate, here is a good recipe for double digit growth industry. And the market size currently is almost 50,000 crore, which will become 1 lakh crore in next 5 to 6 years based on 15% CAGR growth. And the next industry belonging to automobile sector, and I think this many of you will be aware regarding the EV growth in the electric vehicle. And electric vehicle is projected to have very high growth. It is projected to have a 44% growth in coming years. And from 35,000 crore market, this is supposed to become almost a 3.3 lakh crore market. In fact, if we see the global data, uh, right now the total electric vehicles out of the overall car in terms of cars, it is only 2 or 2.2%, which is supposed to increase and it is going to become 5 and 10% over next 5 to 10 years. So that is the kind of growth potential this particular industry and business segment has. The third segment comes from media and entertainment sector, and this is none other than online gaming. We are seeing that the current generation, as it is getting glued more and more to mobile and electronic gadgets, the trend of playing games indoor on the electronic gadgets is increasing. And historically, in the last few years, this has been one of the very high growing industries. And specifically to India, this particular market of online gaming is growing at 32.6%. Recently, one of the companies in online gaming, which is like one of the leader company in India, they came up with an IPO. So if we look at the growth potential, the current market size of this specific business segment is 10.5 thousand crore, which is going to be soon in next few years at a 32.6% CAGR. This market is going to be a 25,000 crore market. So the idea should be to identify such industries which can grow at higher than the GDP growth rate, Then we need to find companies which are leaders in those industries. And then further, we need to do analysis in terms of not all these industries. Let me caution you. Despite of such a high growth rate, not all industries end up creating wealth. And the reason being, some of the industries don't have any barrier to entry. Some of the industries may have very high competitive intensity, very less pricing power. So but the idea is, let us identify first which are the growing industries, and then go and do a detailed analysis of the industry, do a detailed analysis of the company, covering all the analysis in terms of the barrier to entry, the Porter 5 Foods analysis, pestle analysis, industry structure analysis, supply chain dynamics, and then identify which could be the bets which should be taken. But to look for, I think online gaming is one of the very interesting industries which one should study if he aims to, put in their money in companies which can grow at a very high rate. The other segment is very close because it also belongs to media entertainment industry, which is related to digital media and entertainment, which means the traditional media entertainment, which was in terms of movies or music, which was through physical infrastructure, all that is shifting to digital infrastructure. And this not only includes the entertainment part, but also the digital advertisement and all the things. And this specific segment is growing at almost 23%. And in next few years, this is going to be a 40,000 plus crore market segment. So we have covered FMCG, we have covered auto, we got few interesting ideas from media entertainment. India being services industry, I think it would be important to look at some of the high growth segments in services sector. And if we look at services, there are two important segments which come. One is security services and another one is facility management services. So security services, it covers both manpower services as well as technology services for security. And this specific industry is growing at 14%. And this is one of the industries where there is a very high concentration of unorganized workforce, which is slowly converting into organized. And this market itself right now, it's a 80,000 crore market, which is going to become a 1.6 lakh crore market by 2025, growing at 14%. And again, the idea should be to identify which are the companies which are present in some of these sectors. I have mentioned some of these companies. I have written some blogs on some of these companies on my blog. You can go and you can visit it. In the next video, again, in the next video, what I will try to do is I will try to go one more level below, and based on whatever segments or sectors or companies you want to cover out of this, maybe I'll put few more YouTube videos. The other one in services is facility management. So facility management is all about providing the cleaning services, and then there are hard facility management, soft facility management services spread across multiple sectors. Like it could be for the typical commercial IT infrastructure, or it could be facility management for a healthcare. And these are different niche, and the growth rate further differs on each of these sub segments. But the overall facility management segment itself is growing at 19% CAGR, and it's a 1 lakh crore market which is supposed to become 2.3 lakh crore in few years, growing at 19%. And there are a few small cap and micro cap stocks also available in these industries. And it would be very interesting, because if the industry is growing at this rate, even if these companies can match the growth, if you have a top line growth of 19-20%, these are like very good scenarios to plan for somebody who wants to look for growing companies to grow his wealth. The next set of segments are from healthcare sector. And I have been an admirer of healthcare sector right from the time when this sector was kind of written off in 2018 because of whatever regulatory issues which were going on. But I felt nobody, I mean, those who were bearish on the sector, they didn't look at the terminal value of this sector. Like FMCG, healthcare is also going to be required. The chances of disruptions are less, and it's a human requirement. You can't get away. And the whole terminal value concept of this sector itself is what always attracts me towards this sector. And even though there are certain little capex heavy businesses, if we bifurcate this sector, there are a lot of interesting segments available. And I have tried to highlight four segments from this sector, which are high growing segments. The first being health insurance segment. And the health insurance segment is expected to grow somewhere around 17 to 19%. And in terms of gross weighted premium, the current market size is almost 38,000 crore, which is going to be 79,000 crore market in next 4 to 5 years. And there are few recently listed companies which are present in the health insurance domain. So I would suggest you to go and look for some of these companies and study those companies. Also soon we will be doing a webinar along with SOIC Ishmoit on healthcare and many more other subsectors from insurance industry. So do keep tab on our YouTube channels, on our Twitter pages to stay updated about the upcoming webinar on the insurance sector. The second subsegment, which not many people are talking about because there may not be a specifically dedicated company in this subsegment, but I have seen there are companies where some part of revenue is being generated from this subsegment, and as time progresses, because the growth opportunity in this subsegment is so huge, that slowly over a period of 5 to 10 years some of these subsegments might become a significant revenue contributor. And this is nothing but home healthcare services. And home healthcare services, again, it constitutes of multiple stuff. It constitutes the diagnostic services, it constitutes the nursing services, it also constitutes the home healthcare diagnostic equipments like to measure the oxygen, or to measure various kind of body ailments, or to relieve various kind of body ailments. There are OTC based products which are provided, and all of that comes in home healthcare services. So we can have companies on the product side, and we can have also companies on the services side in terms of diagnostic and manpower services from healthcare perspective. And this subsegment is again growing at almost 19%, and a 36,000 crore market is soon in few years going to be a 70,000 crore market. The other two subsegments from healthcare, one is CRO, contract research organizations. And I'm presenting the data for Asia Pacific because there is a trend of a lot of CRO work being outsourced from Western nations to Asia Pacific nations, which means rather than looking at India opportunity, better we look at what is the kind of opportunity Asia Pacific throws. And we do have certain companies which are catering to some of the global clients, competing with some of the Asia Pacific companies and growing at a decent double digit growth rate, because the industry itself is growing at a double digit growth rate. And this industry is growing at a CAGR at a Asia Pacific level. This is growing at almost 11%. And the market size of 57,000 crore is going to be 1.3 lakh crore. And now imagine if there are companies which are working on small, 2 3,000 crore kind of turnover. You can imagine what is the market share they have, and if they are doing really well, even if they increase their market share by 1 or 2%, what kind of opportunity there is ahead of them. And the last segment in healthcare is pharmacy. And again, when I go back to 2018, when I first time presented Apollo Hospital, many considered Apollo Hospital as a hospital, but only when somebody bifurcated the revenues, looked at the revenue growth rate, looked at the financial economics, one could have realized that Apollo Hospital is not only a hospital; it's a big pharmacy business in making. And if we look at the growth rate of pharmacy sector, retail pharmacy, it is growing almost at a 10% level. And then in retail pharmacy, if one looks at online pharmacy, which is the e-commerce way of channel of doing pharmacy, online pharmacy is growing at almost 34%. And we do have certain companies in India present in each of these segments. So it's up to us to look at some of these industries. And again, it is again like services, manpower services. This is another industry segment which is very unorganized. And right now the market size is almost 1 lakh crore, which is going to be a 2.3 lakh crore market in next few years. So just you can imagine the kind of big size pond you have, and the opportunity of a growing segment in double digit you have. So these are some of the top 10 segments which are growing in double digit at a very high growth rate. And if you try to drill down and identify some of the companies in these areas, you will be able to identify some of the opportunities, and then you can do your research and at the right time you can take a position. And from our side we will try to do research and make more presentation. So do let us know, out of these 10 high growing segments, which are the segments which are your favorite. Do post your comments below the YouTube video, and let us know if you want us to cover some specific segment, and we will do a segment analysis and we will post another video. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. And also we have a LMS, learning management system. We have a training program on teachable scientific investing, where we have various kind of fundamental courses, technical courses, quants courses. So do write to us in case you are interested in any of them, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time.